Welcome back, guys. I'm Kelsey. I'm Kelsey Oki here on YouTube and on Instagram, and I'm going to show you my top 10 favorite exercises to do several times a week to keep that total body strength. Okay, the first one that we're going to do is glute bridges. Come all the way down to your back. Bend your knees so that your feet rest comfortably outside of your sit bones. Tuck your shoulder blades underneath you, and then making sure that you're pressing into the feet, either the feet parallel or slightly toes outward if that feels better to you. Start to lift the hips up so that you get that nice line between the shoulders, the hips, and the knees. Squeeze at the top. Inhale as you lower. Exhale, squeeze and push. Inhale, lowering down. And repeating this as many times as you need to really get that booty burn to gain that strength through the glutes. Now, if you're not squeezing at the top, you're really not going to get much out of this. So make sure that you are really engaging those glute muscles when you reach the top. Now, the variation that I like to add here is low glute bridges. So as I roll down through the vertebrae so that the low back comes to the floor, I don't know if you can see here, but I have my low back touching, but my butt is not. So back touching the floor, butt not touching the floor. That can be a trick in itself. But if you can get that, then you can do this little low variation where you let the butt touch down just for a second, not to rest, and then squeezing it back up. This is a great exercise to really get the glutes, your bum, nice and strong. Now, the glutes are the primary muscle that protects your low back, so if you get low back pain, maybe adding some glute work would be a good idea. Make sure, though, that you do so carefully, building that rep nice and slowly as to not cause any further injury. All right, so you got the idea on those glute bridges. There's exercise number 1. Number 2 is working in side plank. So side plank on the forearms, even more specifically. Let's start with the right side. Coming down onto the elbow and the forearm, and the right hand is down on the floor, palm down. And now I'm going to stack my left leg on top of my right. Now if that's too hard, you can always bring the left toes down, or maybe the left fingertips, or both, up to you. Now what's really important here, and what I'm wanting you to work, is the lats, so the latissimus muscles. They wrap underneath that shoulder blade. You can feel them if you feel like you can squeeze your triceps towards your ribs. Feel as if you can squeeze them in, even though they can't touch. That's how you activate that muscle right there. Now, if this is enough to just hold it, perfect. Working on gaining your time here, maybe working up to 1-minute holds. But if it's not quite enough, maybe slowly drop the hip down and lift it back up. Really working on engaging those lats the whole time. And of course, always be sure to work even amounts on both sides. So here's that muscle right here, those lats. That's where we want to feel that engagement. Keep the belly button pulling in towards the spine. Leg muscles hugging in. All right, that's it for number 2, working that side plank, maybe with the hip dips. The next one is one everybody's familiar with. It's bicycle crunches. So coming all the way down onto our back. I love bicycle crunches because I feel like they work all of the abs, the obliques, the transverse abdominis, just everything gets engaged here. Bring your hands behind your head, gently interlacing your fingers, and then as you cross over, right elbow towards left knee, and switch, left elbow towards right knee. What you're really wanting to look for is a deep twist. The farther you get your elbow over, the more engagement you're going to find through the abs. Also, if you extend that leg and hover, even more work for the low abs. But if you're not quite there yet, just, the gentle bend of the knee, that's okay too. The more you can keep the scapula, the shoulder blades off the ground, the more work you'll find. All right, that's it for number 3. The next one is another one on the forearm. So it's those forearm hip dips. You guys have done any of my hip videos, you probably always see me doing those ones. They are great for working the obliques and for gaining strength through that upper back and through the shoulders. So coming onto the forearms, palms down, that's my preference, but you could also interlace hands if that's what you need. Making sure that their shoulders width by grabbing opposite elbow, then hands down, walk the feet back, find that strong plank position as you pull the belly in, toes are tucked so you're on the balls of the feet, and just drop the hips from side to side. Keeping the belly strong and engaged, keeping this protraction through the upper back, trying not to let yourself dump down, but staying strong, pushing out of the shoulders. So this isn't just about the belly here. This also works the shoulders and the upper back. I know this one felt very weird to me in the beginning, so give it some time. I know it can be a little uncomfortable on the balls of the feet, but it does get better. All right, the next one. This one is a bit tough, but I know you guys can do it. So we are going to be doing pike push-ups, also called down dog push-ups. Now what you can do is start in that down dog position. Get your feet hips width, hands shoulders width, really anchoring down at the heel of the hand, the base of the thumb. And what I want to think about doing is making a triangle with my hands and my head. So my hands are here. My head's going to have to go right about here. I'm aiming to get the crown of my head to touch down. So you start to shift forward, hips high, bend the elbows, touching down with the head, and then pushing out of the shoulders, hips go high back to that down dog position. And repeating, maybe in sets of 5, maybe in sets of 10, up to you. Now the closer you bring the feet to each other and the closer you walk the feet in, the more difficult it's going to be. So if you need help in the beginning, have your feet wide. That makes it a bit more attainable. Another trick you could do is to put a yoga block or a big book down. That way you don't have to drop your head down as low. All right, the next one is LSITs. So an L-sit is when you're sitting on the ground, legs extended out, sitting up nice and tall, your body kind of looks like an L. So what's important is that you don't push right outside of the hips. If you push right outside of the hips, you're really not going to get much lift here. The trick here is to bring the hands slightly forward of the hips, pull the belly in, a little round through the back. And as you push the ground away, think about sucking that belly in, let the hips slide back, and then let the heels raise as well. So big push, suck that belly in. And now from here, you can either kick the toes, or scissor kick them, or just some static holds. Now, if that was way too hard and you're not there yet, a pair of yoga blocks on either side, that gives you a nice boost to get some height off the ground. So work those L-sits, get super strong through the back, through the shoulders, even through the core and the legs. That's one of those total body exercises. All right, the next one, Lola. So those of you that aren't in the yoga world may not be familiar with Lola. Lola is short for LALASA. It's a very tough posture where you hold all of the weight of the body on the hands, but you're in a very tight, tucked position. I'll demonstrate very quickly for you. So hands down, pressing out of the shoulders. I find this tight little tucked ball shape. A little shift forward, and float the feet. Now you can work on just holding those for longer amounts of time, maybe building up to 10 breaths. But if that's still too hard, again, use your blocks. That's always an option. Or another thing that you can do is do these Lola drills. I have a video here on YouTube called How to Do LALASA if you're really interested in this and want to build your LALASA further. So hands down, come onto the tops of the toes. That way you can't really use the legs for too much strength. And as you push the floor away, suck the knees in. As you tuck your toes, as you lift the knees, you tuck your nose in. Lower down, exhale, squeeze. Inhale as you lower, exhale as you push. Really think about that contraction at the top. So you'll want to repeat that 10, 15, 20 times, building your reps. Okay, so Lola's obviously a really, really tough. That's one that takes a lot of practice, but I had to include it in there because nothing builds strength like Lola. The next one, a little bit more attainable for everybody, and those are Supermans, or in yoga we call them Locust Shalabhasana, and there's a couple variations. So obviously the hardest one is when you keep the arms and the legs completely stretched out. So getting as tall as you're able to, big breath at the bottom, exhale, and then lift. Reaching the hands together, pointing the toes, touching the legs together. Everything squeezes towards that midline. Inhale, lower, and exhale. Inhale, lift again. Squeeze everything towards that midline. Get as tall as you can. Now, if this is a little too hard to reach the arms out ahead of you, you could also squeeze your arms down by the sides like cactus branches. So, here we go. Lift up, inhale, arms come out to the sides. Really squeezing the shoulder blades together, lift the legs. Another variation, hands behind the back and lifting this way. This is a little bit more attainable, so a couple variations work where you need to. That's a really great exercise. Supermans work the whole back side of the body. So you do engage the legs as you squeeze them towards each other, and definitely that low back is super, super strong. If you're bringing the elbows down like this, the rhomboids, those muscles between the shoulder blades, are really engaged. Those muscles don't like to be worked, so it's a nice idea to kind of change it up from time to time, reaching the arms ahead, sometimes squeezing them down. Either way, work your Supermans. The next one that we're going to do is another variation of a push-up, but not the standard push-up. These are dolphin push-ups. So dolphin is like downward facing dog, but we're down on the forearms. So forearms down, shoulders width like always, and then walk the feet in, hips high. This is your dolphin pose, like down dog, but we're down on the elbows. And now to find a dolphin push-up, we think about bringing the chin or the nose to the thumbs. Exhale as you lower, inhale as you push back up. Really great exercise to strengthen the shoulders, the lats. Definitely a tough one, but super good for building that inner strength. That was it for your dolphin push-ups. One more, and this one, there's so much you can do with it. So those planks, you can be on your hands, you can be on your forearms. Let's go ahead and do this on our hands because we've already done a few of them down on our forearms. So in plank, walk the feet back, come onto the balls of the toes. Hands are shoulders width, press down into the heel of the hand, that base of the thumb. Get that protraction through that upper back. You don't want to dump down, but really push up. Now from here, there's so much you can do. You can do shifts forward, working those shoulders a lot, engaging the legs. You can lift an arm, really getting that strength through the standing arm side. Lift the leg. You can squeeze the knee in, working the core. You can alternate being on the hands and being on the forearms. You can stack on the side. There is so much that you can do in plank. And it's such a great exercise that encompasses the whole body, the core, the shoulders, the legs, the butt, everything. So that's why we say plank for last, because if there's one exercise that you could do every day, do those planks. All right, that is it for today, guys. Those are my top 10 most favorite exercises that I do several times a week to keep the total body strength. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Make sure to give this video a like, share it on your social media. I so appreciate that. And that's it. Take care, guys. Namaste.